Right now, somewhere in the world, a man is sitting next to a woman who just asked him a simple, innocent-sounding question. He answers it casually, maybe even brushes it off. What he doesn't realize is that, in that moment, she may have just revealed something far deeper, a hidden signal, a quiet attempt to connect, and he completely misses it. That man might be you, and the idea is that after understanding this, it won't happen again. Here's a truth that many men overlook. Women often don't say exactly what they mean when it comes to intimacy or emotional closeness. Instead of being direct, the message is usually indirect, subtle, and wrapped in ordinary language. There is no obvious confession, no dramatic moment, no cinematic gesture. What actually happens is far quieter than that, so quiet that most men miss it entirely. Research in communication studies suggests that women tend to use indirect speech more often than men, especially when discussing emotionally vulnerable topics. This means that when a woman wants something personal or emotionally meaningful, she is more likely to encode it in a question or casual statement rather than say it directly. If a man is only listening for surface meaning, he will respond to the words, but completely miss the intention behind them. To understand this better, it helps to look at how communication styles differ. Many women use communication to build emotional connection, test safety, and understand how the other person feels before revealing their own emotions. Many men, on the other hand, tend to focus on facts and direct answers. Because of this mismatch, emotional signals can easily go unnoticed. A woman may feel she has reached out, while a man believes nothing important was said at all. This is where misunderstandings often begin. A woman might ask a question, not just to get information, but to feel closer, to test emotional availability, or to see how present the other person is. The man hears a simple question and gives a simple answer. From his perspective, the moment ends there. From her perspective, something meaningful was offered and missed. One of the most common examples of this is a question, "What are you thinking right now?" On the surface, it sounds like casual curiosity, but in many situations, it is less about the content of your thoughts and more about access, an invitation into your inner world. It is a way of checking emotional closeness in real time. In those moments, she is not simply asking for information. She is trying to feel connected. She is seeing whether you are willing to share a part of yourself, even something small or random. If the response is distant, dismissive, or overly short, it can feel like emotional distance to her. If the response is open and present, it creates a sense of closeness. This is also where the idea of emotional bids comes in. In relationship psychology, emotional bids are small attempts to connect, questions, comments, gestures, or reactions that seek engagement. Relationships often succeed or fail based on how these bids are received. When they are acknowledged, connection grows. When they are ignored repeatedly, emotional distance builds over time. For many women, emotional connection is also closely tied to physical closeness. Feeling understood, seen, and emotionally safe often matters more than just physical attraction alone. So when she asks a question like this, it can also be part of assessing emotional safety in the moment, whether she feels close enough to move further emotionally or physically. Because of this, even a simple question can carry more weight than it appears to. If it is met with openness, it strengthens connection. If it is dismissed, it can quietly weaken it, not in a dramatic way, but in a gradual shift that builds over time. Another commonly overlooked question is, are you tired? On the surface, it sounds like concern or casual care. But in certain contexts, especially at night, after spending time together, it can also function as a subtle check of availability and openness. It creates a low-pressure way to ask whether the moment is ending or whether it can continue. The safety of this phrasing is what makes it effective. If the answer is yes, the interaction naturally ends without awkwardness. If the answer is no, it can signal that the moment is still open, allowing things to continue in a more intimate direction without either person needing to state it directly. This kind of communication works because it avoids pressure while still revealing intent. It leaves room for both people to interpret and respond comfortably. But it also means that misunderstanding the intent behind the question can lead to missed opportunities for connection. When these small signals are repeatedly missed, nothing dramatic usually happens at first. There is no argument or confrontation. Instead, there is just a quiet emotional adjustment. One person begins to feel less seen or less understood. Over time, they may stop making those small attempts to connect altogether, not because they stopped caring, but because they stopped expecting to be understood. This pattern is widely recognized in relationship research as a cycle where one partner reaches out emotionally and the other fails to respond in the intended way. Over time, the reaching partner withdraws, not out of rejection, but out of emotional fatigue. From this perspective, questions like, "Were you thinking?" or "Are you tired?" are not random. They often represent small but meaningful attempts to create closeness. They are ways of checking emotional presence, safety, and openness without stating it directly. The simplest way to respond is not with perfection, but with presence. When asked what you are thinking, even a simple, honest answer helps maintain connection. It doesn't need to be deep or impressive. It just needs to be real. When asked about being tired, the response depends on the situation and the energy between both people. But the key is awareness of what the moment is actually asking for beyond the literal words. At the core of all of this is not manipulation or decoding hidden tricks, but attention. Paying attention to tone, timing, and emotional context changes how communication is understood. A woman is not necessarily speaking in code, but she may be speaking in layers, what is said and what is meant beneath it. When a man responds with presence instead of dismissal, something shifts in the interaction. The other person feels heard. The connection deepens, not because of perfect answers, but because of awareness. And ultimately, that is what these moments are about. Not guessing secret meanings, but learning to recognize when someone is reaching out in small ways and choosing to respond with genuine attention when it happens.